Ooh, that's hot. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fonzo review. Today I'm going to be reviewing something that I feel very strongly about. And that is the Lilo and Stitch live action reboot. It was just announced recently, or the rumors going about, that Lilo and Stitch is due for an adaptation, a CG animation hybrid. Is that even how you say it? When you combine live action with CG animation, is it even considered live action at this point? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So apparently, the director of Crazy Rich Asians, John M. Chu, is in talks to direct this Lilo and Stitch live action reboot, which would film in Hawaii. But here's my problem with it. Why does it need to be rebooted? What was wrong with Lilo and Stitch? I personally loved it. My kids love it. I liked Lilo and Stitch 1, Lilo and Stitch 2, Leroy and Stitch, the Lilo and Stitch animated series. They were great. So what's the point of taking something that's already great and making it subpar or mediocre? I mean, it's just that these don't work. We saw Aladdin. I mean, although Will Smith was a great genie, what else was there really spectacular about it? We all loved Aladdin. Aladdin was great. Robin Williams was awesome. I mean, we know that role was tailor-made for Robin Williams, and he did a phenomenal job. The songs are unforgettable. The acting, the lines. I mean, how many times do we quote that movie in our lives? I do all the time. My kids and I sing the songs. Then they had to go and reboot it, which creates a problem because it's automatically going to be compared to the animated version, which doesn't have the same constraints that that animation has. With animation, the possibilities are endless. With live action, you have already that constraint of reality, and adding in CG animation just muddies the water, but it doesn't always work. Here are some cases that it did work. We have Space Jam, where Michael Jordan meets with the Looney Tunes. Now, why did that work? I think it worked because it was totally an original idea. Something that had barely been done. Around that time, I think Roger Rabbit was the only other thing that comes close to how successful that was. Roger Rabbit worked. Space Jam worked because it was new. It was an original idea, and it delved into a story where cartoon and human world meshed, so it was relevant to the plot. Adding in a kind of realistic looking creature that is computer generated with live action people, it doesn't always work. I think with Sonic it worked and it was pretty good, but that's different. I don't think it'll work with Lilo and Stitch. It's just wrong. There's no need for it. There hadn't been a Sonic movie in forever, so it worked. But there's already been a great Lilo and Stitch movie that I don't think needs to be redone. Here's another example where it didn't work. Lion King. I mean, it's not even really live action if you think about it. It's all computer generated images. They're not real lions. They're not real birds. They're talking computerized images. Same with the Jungle Book. It's not live action. It's animated. It just kind of looks real, but it's not. It just makes it creepy. Here's another thing that is required, I think, for a reboot. You have to give it more time. I mean, there's some great reboots out there. Shameless plug. I'm going to be starting a new series where I'm going to be reviewing the classic films and their modern counterpart. I think when you have like a good 20, 30, 40 years between movies, then that's a good amount of time to be rebooting something. Even I'd say even more than 20 years. I mean, technology can change in 20 years, but I mean, times really change when 30 or 40 years pass. I'm talking about the distance between the original Father of the Bride and the Steve Martin Father of the Bride. Elizabeth Taylor and Spencer Tracy did Father of the Bride back in, I believe, the 40s or 50s. And then not until the 80s or 90s, we have Steve Martin's version. I mean, that's a good distance for somebody to reboot something, because times have changed so much between then. Not much has changed since the 90s. I mean, enough has changed, but I wouldn't say enough to warrant a full-on reboot. If you're gonna reboot something, why not make it a sequel? Rather than going full-board reboot, expand on the story, let it grow, give it more depth, not just tell the same story. So I think we should just let the animation be the only version of that story. I thought it would have been a great idea to make a live-action Lion King, where instead of them being lions, the lion was more symbolic of like a mascot, and use the same story but with actual people. I would have loved to see like African tribes playing the part of each character, where there's a whole uncle usurping and murdering the dad, and the son gets blamed for it and then comes back and reclaims his rightful place. That would have been cool to see, even with the cast that was doing the voiceovers. Kind of like the play. You know how the people were dressed up in costumes in the Broadway play? Why not do that as a live action movie? So Disney, if you're watching, take that idea and run with it. I'll let you have it. Now, am I bitter about Disney blocking my review of The Mandalorian? Yes, a little bit, but it doesn't change my feelings about this. I don't think it's a good idea. Will I watch it? Probably, but I'm not gonna like it. If I do like it though, I'll review it, and I'll be sure to be honest about my feelings after watching it. Anyway, it's enough said about my feelings on the Lilo and Stitch live action reboot. If you guys have any comments or feelings about it, please feel free to comment below. If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. If you want to watch more reviews on the Fonzo Review show, then hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Until then, we will see you in our next video. Bye.